Hang on.
Hello and welcome to a special Black Friday edition of DFS Deep Dive. Hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. My name is Brian Craighead, and I'll be one of your three hosts. As you can tell, Luke and Mav have joined me. They both sound better this week, so I'm thinking we're all over our colds finally. Kind of a tough span, but we're all back all here with you, so we're excited about that. Like I just said, it's DFS Deep Dive. DFS, of course, stands for Daily Fantasy Sports. And so, like we always do, we're going to be covering the DraftKings platform here for this weekend. And it's kind of a smaller weekend. There's only 10 games. So for all of our Twitter content, you can reach us at the Cut FFB. As for me, you can reach me at Vandegrad92 on Twitter. Along with this podcast, I do a couple of live streams on Sunday, all in all about an hour. And then I write 5 or 6 articles a week. So it keeps me busy. So if you would, please follow me at
Hello?
Say I couldn't hear him. I know he said Mav with his lips there. I want you to go ahead and give out your name real quick.
Brian, your voice cut off. Don't hear you.
Uh-oh.
Now he froze.
Go ahead and do your Twitter stuff, Mav.
Yeah.
We'll do that stuff.
Well, why he does that? We'll introduce ourselves. I'm Maverick, aka Protagonist TV _. The TV just stands for me being a Twitch streamer. I am a gamer, and you know whatever it is I do, I talk a lot. What in the world? Hold on, there we go.
All right.
But on Twitter, I do talk a lot about sports, a lot about fantasy. I'm a Patriots fan, so I follow quite a bit of people that do follow them and report for them. So a lot of it is tweeting about Patriots and a lot about fantasy, depending on what the daily debate is. I started Dynasty this year, so that was pretty fun. In terms of any fantasy work that I do, it's pretty much just here, just to get started and get my feet wet for now.
Yeah, my name is Lucas Deepow. You can find me at Lucas Deepow on Twitter. Talking fantasy football, Steelers, Blue Jackets, Buckeyes. Biggest game of the year tomorrow, Buckeyes, Michigan. I got to work. I'm debating on how long I'll be at said work. But yeah, we got a big game tomorrow. You can find me on Twitter talking about all kinds of stuff in terms of those things. So see if we can hear Brian now.
Yeah, sorry for interruption there, guys. I had a phone call that kind of busted me off the connection there, so that wasn't much fun.
We're going to say.
I'm back, and like I said, we were talking about the fact that we're the DraftKings platform. And like we like to talk about each week, you got a $50,000 salary cap. Got to fill 9 positions with that. You got a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and a defense. And so just keep that in mind. Like I mentioned earlier, there's actually only 10 games on the slate this week. We had we had the 3 Thanksgiving games yesterday with the Bears and the Lions playing early, 16-14 win for the Bears. Then the Cowboys and Raiders. Raiders won 36-33, and in the evening it was the Bills 31 over the Bills beat the Saints 31-6. I believe was the final score. So those 3 games won't be part of the main slate. And in addition, we got a Sunday night game this week. A really important divisional battle between the Browns and the Ravens are playing in Baltimore. And last but not least, on Monday night you've got the Seahawks playing at the Washington football team. So, like I said, it's a rather small lineup. Rather small slate, but you can still make some pretty good lineups out of that. Another thing that's important, possibly even more important this week, is keeping in mind the games that are have high over-unders and implied totals, because there's not as many games to target this week. But like I said, there's still plenty of opportunity to make a good lineup. So there's 4 games that have an over-under near 50. The Bucs are playing at the Colts. and they're sitting right at 52.5. You got the Chargers at the Broncos, and they're at 48. Then along with that, you've got the Vikings and the 49ers, and they're sitting at 49.5. And last but not least, in those high over-unders, is the Rams playing at the Packers. And to me, that game should be a little higher over-under than it is. It's sitting at 47. I still think it could be maybe the second highest scoring game of the slate. For my favorite, I'm still kind of leaning on that Bucs Colts. I think that would be a really competitive game. And then in addition, you've got four teams that have pretty high pretty high implied totals, not in addition to those. And so you've first got Mavs Patriots there at 25, the Eagles sitting at 24, the Falcons sitting at 24, which based on the last few weeks have been averaging 14 points a game. So I don't know. Vegas is always right for my end, but that seems a little high to me. And last but not least, you've got our Steelers facing the Bengals, and the Bengals are sitting at 24, and we're sitting at 21. So we'll see how that goes. But guys, if y'all want to, we'll introduce your lineups, and then we'll have any feedback we got from there.
It was hard coming with a lineup, so especially after last week, that little disaster that I put out there. 3 guys put up 0, and Justin Jefferson had like half of my points. This is rough. I'm gonna throw out my lineup though in order of the players that I got, and then we'll just go from there. So I definitely went defense, and I went Pats first. The Titans have nobody playing at all. So it might just be the Patriots defense against the Titans offensive line, because I don't even know what skill position players they even have out there at this point. Like, everybody's hurt.
Yeah.
Today,
just not to interrupt you, Matt, but today AJ Brown got ruled out. Just to let everybody know. So
yeah,
Julio's already out, and like Mav said,
there's no Derrick Henry. They had Adrian Peterson. They waived him. So I don't know who's playing football for the Tennessee Titans anymore outside of Ryan Tannehill and like rookie receivers they drafted.
And Tannehill had 4 interceptions. I'm not sure if he can throw to himself any worse than that. So.
Yeah, so the Patriots defense might just come out with like a score or two themselves. I already got to go with my dynasty wide receiver 1, Justin Jefferson. He's doing great. 40 points last week, 25 the week before that, and 17 the week before that. If the trend continues, he's going to put up 50. I'm okay with that. I have no issues with that whatsoever. And then after that, I went with I needed a quarterback. I was on Zach Wilson with Elijah Moore, and then I was just like, that just sounds disgusting with Zach Wilson being there. So I went with the same game, and I went with at 5,300 Tyrod Taylor. Looking to see how he's been doing. Last game, 19 points, and he has a 16-point game. That's week 2 and then week 1. So he struggled against Miami his first game back after like 2 months. But last week against the Titans, he gave me 19, and it wasn't pretty passing the ball. So against the Jets, I'm expecting for him to be a little better. And his passing attack of 107 yards, it's not hard to top that against the Jets.
Matt, can you share the DraftKings screen?
Oh, my bad.
Just trying not to cut you off there.
Nah, please cut me off next time.
You know what you were saying about the passing wasn't great last week? Well, he didn't have to because they were leading the Titans the whole time. So you can take that in account too, or maybe he'll actually have to throw it a little bit because Brandon Cooks killed me because I'm like, I did not expect him to lead the whole game, so they never had to throw it to him.
Yeah. So
and that's the nice thing. As a reminder, between both Taylor and Cam Newton, they give you a solid rushing floor to start with. So
I had Cam earlier, but he's sitting at 56.
Yeah.
56.
Yeah. So I went a little cheaper, and I went Tyrod Taylor, and I went Brandon Cooks at 58 with the stack. After scrolling through running backs, I decided that I didn't like any of the running backs, so I went extra expensive at receiver again and went Cooper Kupp.
What's his price tag, Mav?
9,600. So you are taking a massive gamble on somebody at this price range because he's the price of 2 people. So, and then of course, obviously, I went cheap everywhere else. I went Devonte Booker at 54. Now, this is assuming Saquon Barkley, even if he plays, because I was looking at his targets the last 2 weeks, 6 and 6, so that's 12. And then you got 2 and 1 week. Well, that was back in week 5. So last week, 6 rushes and 6 catches. And then you got Devonte Booker, 54. Yeah, I mean, against Tampa, you're not really running the ball, but before that, he's been fantastic. So I don't know if Barkley is healthy. If he is healthy, look out for even Michael Carter, but he's out. Eli Mitchell. If he's back, he's going to get all the touches like he was the week before. 9, 12, 22, 19 fantasy points. Now if he's hurt, you could go Jeff Wilson. I wouldn't. Because he was supposed to be this workhorse that's all I've heard about, and he didn't do anything. So if Saquon is fully healthy and Eli is out, I don't even know. It's gonna be Melvin Gordon. I'll try my luck with Melvin Gordon. So
yeah, you got plenty of pivot options there.
Yeah,
yeah.
So that was my. I'm not gonna tell you to go Jeff Wilson. You're not hearing that from me. No, that's what we're not going to do. But we did put in Devonte Booker. Again, I didn't like any of my running back options. So Ramondre Stevenson didn't really practice this week at all. He was actually upgraded to limited today. So even if he does play, I don't know what his workload is going to be. So I went Brandon Bolden here at 4,000. He's the running back 3 on the team, and if Stevenson isn't going to play or not get that many touches, he's going to see the workload that Stevenson would see. So that was my thought process there at 4,000. You don't expect much from these players. At tight end, I couldn't go with my usual Hunter Henry, so we went Tyler Conklin instead at 37.
I was going to ask if you were feeling all right. That's the first thing I look at. Like, wait, he doesn't have Hunter Henry. What's wrong with Mav? Who kidnapped Mav?
Right. I thought about it because so after the Patriots defense, I went Hunter Henry and I eventually took him out to make space for Jefferson and Kupp. I went heavy with receiver because I didn't like my running back options. I really didn't. Like, I don't even think Damian Harris would be like a fantastic play here.
So, how much is Henry this week?
You mean Damian Harris? Oh, Hunter Henry?
Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry he's 45.
45. Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd have to make some kind of pivots if you wanted to swap him.
I'd have to. Kings is on board with him now. He was sitting 4 pretty much all year, I think. So.
Yeah. Like I'd have to go Eagles on defense or even Texans defense at 20. No, against the Jets. I think that could be a good play. Jaguars against Atlanta. I mean, I know it's Jacksonville, and that sounds disgusting to say, but who's Atlanta even playing now? That could be a good play too.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sticking with my guns here, and I went New England at 39. They're the most expensive defense right now. And at receiver at 4,000, I couldn't even spell his name. Westbrook. He's just Westbrook right now.
I like it. That's fine.
I've called him McKinney, but I don't know if that's right or not.
Well, Westbrook will work.
Yeah, so I went him at 4K.
Just tell people it's not D.D. Westbrook. That's not.
It's not D.D. Westbrook. It's not Russell Westbrook either. It's the other Westbrook.
Wrong.
He's the only healthy Titans receiver.
Yeah, and he's the kind of receiver that would put up 20 fantasy points against the Patriots, and the rest of the team would do nothing else.
I'm going to give you a little sneaky name. I said he's the only Titans healthy receiver. Dez Fitzpatrick is, I think, sitting around 3,200. He's a rookie that missed every game. I think he was probably just still on the practice squad, but he got pulled up last week and actually scored a touchdown. So
yeah, 335
sneaky name.
Touchdown. Yeah.
And the only other one there, I believe, is Chester Rogers, who's kind of a journeyman receiver. He's 3,500.
He's still in the league?
Mm-hmm. I feel like he's always on the Colts or Titans. He's always hanging around that division.
Yeah.
But yeah, all three. Somebody's gonna do something, right? I mean,
somebody has to do something, or it's gonna be a blowout really quick. So,
yeah.
This is my.
If you're going to take a crapshoot, you can save $800 and shoot down, like I said, to Fitzpatrick and go $800. Maybe you can go get Hunter Henry. So,
I'm curious. They signed Golden Tate to their practice squad. Are we gonna see Golden Tate on Sunday make a return?
Oh wow.
So this is my uneventful lineup here.
Hey, like you said, it was tough this week, man. It was only 10 games, and a lot of good players were not available.
If I'm not getting close to 75 points with Jefferson and Kupp, this lineup isn't going to give you much.
Yeah, go ahead.
But don't be surprised. Cooks can, give you what he was giving you earlier in the year. It is the Jets. He hasn't been much of a wide receiver one. He gave you 20 points to week 8 and then 17 week 6. And then that's pretty much it since like week 3. But, I have my hopes up. It is the Jets. Just going to hope that he gets, a couple of deep passes here and there. My running backs, very situational. Obviously, things can change from here till Sunday. This is just, what I think is going to happen now. Obviously, you can change your lineup around on Sunday. Like we said, Devonte Booker. You could always flex at somebody else. And then Bolden, if you have money from swapping down to Booker, you can do that too. Like I said, Patriots defense, 3,900. You could always go save yourself like 1,700, 1,600, anywhere over 1,000 by swapping defenses. I do like Jefferson and Kupp. Everything else can be played with.
A little interesting tidbit about Golden Tate. He was right here from Nashville, so it was a pretty easy signing. They probably just drove across town to get him. So
be funny. The only couple pivots I had right now were around Cooks' price. Any interest in Michael Pittman at 5,600 or T. Higgins at 5,400?
I haven't. Didn't I have Pittman like last week, and then
it was kind of a tough match though. Plus, they railroaded the Bills, so the Colts just ran Jonathan Taylor all game.
No, you got 4 points last week, and
they should have to
throw before.
Should have to throw against Tampa, and we know Tampa's secondary can be beat.
Yeah, I do like Elijah Moore though. Like that's I had him early. Good. Yeah, he was like one of the earliest players I had on here. So that's
right there too.
200, and then you can go Myles Gaskin at 56. So
he's in a tough matchup this week though. Carolina's stiffing against the run.
It is one thing that's kind of interesting to me to see how Zach Wilson would do with Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore's gotten all those stats with every other quarterback but Wilson. So
yeah,
I wrote down your boy too. He's 5K, Jacoby Myers.
I thought about it. Yeah, I thought about going Mack and Myers. I thought about it.
Yeah, I considered Jacoby Myers. I'm like, all right, he scored a touchdown now, so now he's going to score like 8 in a row.
I also thought about Tua and Waddle.
I did take your buddy Kendrick Bourne as my flex.
Seen that.
Yeah, see, like I did like Tua and Waddle. There's a lot of stacks that I liked. It was just like the whole money thing. I'd have to go away from the Patriots defense. I just like to pick too much.
Can't blame him with the Titans having nobody left.
Yeah, and I'm expecting Jefferson, Kupp, Patriots defense to literally like versus fantasy points per game. I'm expecting what they've been giving you. So,
okay,
all right, that's my lineup there.
All right, for me, you talked about a little bit quarterback with Cam Newton at 5,600. That's where I did go. He did get the 10 carries last week, and he's 5,600. It's cheap, and Dolphins defense that kind of got beat up by Joe Flacco last week. So hoping that continues. And I stacked him right at running back with his teammate McCaffrey, and knowing I should get the goal line carry between one of the two because there's the top 2 goal line backs. So they each literally got 10 carries last week. So I'm on with the Panthers here, and I don't think the Dolphins D is still very good, and they've had some decent matchups here. They've won a couple of games, but I'm perfectly fine having both the Panthers in there. Wouldn't even mind DJ Moore either.
Coach Rule said today that Cam's not having any arm strength issues, so we'll see. I mean, he looked good.
That's good.
There was too much talk about how good of a game Cam Newton had, and he had 22 completions for 180 yards. I don't want to hear no Max slander if you're not slandering Cam Newton.
Yep.
I don't want to hear it. Christian.
Hey, Taylor Heineke outplayed Cam Newton. No one said that.
Yeah, I wanted to. Christian purposely ignored my comment on this good game Cam Newton had. This man said he had a better game than Mac. I looked up the stats and I'm like, what is this? He had a 22 complete, something like that. 22 completions, like 100.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was just, yeah.
And then I looked up what Mac did against the Falcons because people slandered what Mac did against a terrible defense. Mm-hmm. And Mac's stats was better on Thursday.
Yeah, Cam would not be in my lineup if he didn't give you the rushing upside. That's for sure.
Christian.
So let me ask you, while we're talking about Mac Jones, wasn't he similar in price to Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah, 54. So he's more.
Yeah, 100. He spent exactly $1, so he'd have to change something. But
yeah, but like it was this. I didn't like Cooks over Jacoby Myers.
Gotcha.
Like I could have went Hunter Henry. I could have went Kendrick Bourne. I do like Kendrick Bourne. I could have went Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, that's what's tough with these Patriot receivers, because like Aguilar scored last week, and I'm like, I don't feel like you're ever going to pick the right one, because I feel I view all three very equally, but I don't watch every Patriots game every second like you, so maybe you have a better view of it, but I feel like they're 1A, 1B, 1C, even with if you count Aguilar. So
Aguilar.
My big concern is the game script and what that looks like with all the Titans players out.
So
well, we're not going to be able to run the ball because the Titans have one of the better run defenses in football.
You're missing people on defense too.
I don't know. Mac's going to cook. Christian, hope you're ready for me on Sunday on Twitter, man. You better mute me or something, Christian.
I have a future wager with the Colts coming back to win AFC South, and I hope it comes to fruition here.
That just means that Titans are going to start losing some games. The winner of the division is going to have
the bad news is the Titans have 2 games on them, and they've already beat them twice, so it would have to happen. Anyway, I won't digress there. So back to my lineup here. My second running back, I went Denver running back Javonte Williams for 5,200. Chargers aren't good at stopping the run. The Steelers couldn't run very well. We were missing some alignment, and man, poor Najee can't get out of the backfield before getting touched. But after the bye week, I'm really hoping Denver starts moving towards the rookie here and let him run a little bit. He's pretty much splitting it 50-50 Melvin Gordon. I'm fine with either one. But I want to take the upside play. Javonte Williams seems to have so many calls back for holding, so many plays called back. I realized I watched him Denver last couple of games. Like, man, he's getting so close to breaking out. And I feel like I want to be ahead of the breakout before, but I really like this kid, especially in dynasty circles for sure. For wide receivers, so this is where we got crazy. We went ahead and paid for Cooper Kupp at 9,600 with McCaffrey, so now we're going to have to get stupid cheap. There's no explanation needed for Cooper Kupp. They're playing the Packers. Should be a shootout. He's been the best receiver fantasy-wise this season by far. So the cheapy receivers here, we're going Laviska Shenault at 4,400. In a game against the Falcons, Urban Meyer's been talking lately about getting him more involved in the backfield. They lost Jamal Agnew last week to some hip injury, and I think we could start seeing Laviska be using that backfield hybrid role. Finally, what I think a lot of people thought in the preseason. I personally don't like this offense, but the Falcons D, if you can stay away from Terrell, the corner, he's been a pretty damn good rookie. But other than that, I feel like he can have some opportunity. I feel like he has a 10-point floor this week. For another cheap receiver in that Packers game, we're going to keep attacking it. We're going Van Jefferson at 4,900. Give me Stafford's weapon. After a bye, I'm really excited to see what McVay can do and seeing what Kirk Cousins just did to the Packers defense. So I'm excited to see Stafford, and maybe he wants to stick it to Rodgers after getting his butt kicked by him in the Lions all these years. And so now he can go back and play Rodgers with a good team, and Rodgers is banged up too. So I'm hoping that doesn't slow the game pace down. But I like Van Jefferson, and OBJ, I wouldn't mind throwing a dart throw on this week, maybe. I mean, he had the week off the bye. I don't know. I want to see it, but I know Van Jefferson's got that big play upside for sure. For tight end, we have to keep going cheap here. 3,800. Evan Ingram. Sterling Shepard's been ruled out. Kadarius Toney's ruled out. Somebody's got to catch the ball for the Giants. God, I hate doing this. That's your favorite guy, Mav. 3,800. With those guys out, Darius Slayton and Kenny Galladay are going to be the receivers. And then I don't even know who the third receiver will be, CJ Bourguy or something. But I think Evan Ingram could have 5 to 8 targets this week. And I'll sneak peek it. This is an upset pick for me. So I'm taking the Giants to beat the Eagles. So I'm all in on the Giants this week.
I don't even think that's an upset.
Oh,
point spread wise it is. So I'm going to go with that. The Eagles have won a couple.
I am glad you finally got on board with Evan Ingram. Took us 12 weeks, but hey.
Yeah, I'm ready to be disappointed. For flex, so we got really cheap there, so we go with a little safer play in that game. The running back with Miles Sanders at 5,100. Jordan Howard ruled out today. Let's run the football here, and got some opportunities last week, so he got some carries, and he is the one. And I still believe in this super talented running back that the Eagles don't like to use. So obviously the big problem is Jalen Hurts, and he likes to run the ball a lot himself. But I do like Miles Sanders for a floor opportunity. A good flex play with all those low guys.
One thing about Sanders, he did not get any catches out of the backfield last week. But he's actually pretty good at that as well. And I thought when he fumbled last week, he might get in trouble with Boston Scott, but he continued to just get the carry. So it's a really good play.
Yeah. I think they took him out for like a series or something, but it was like, okay, there you go. And then, so we didn't have much left over. We went down to Houston at 2,300. I kind of wanted the Jets more. I was 100 short. The Jets you can take either defense. Zach Wilson has been a turnover machine when he plays, and I think he's got even more pressure on him now that Mike White and Joe Flacco had a couple good games. So I'm fine with some of these low defenses this week. I don't really like the middle of the road defenses. Obviously, I would play New England if I had the cash, but I overspent here. So I had 100 left over. You can go a different D there, but I took Houston against the Zach Wilson-led Jets that I'm not really terrified of. So my lineup had $100 left over after that. 2 really expensive guys and a lot of cheapies. So big boomer bust lineup here.
Y'all attacked it the similar way. 2 expensive guys and pretty much everything else.
I will say this theory kind of worked last week with that Adams and McCaffrey lineup that dropped 162. We got 20 out of Kadarius Toney too. Jalen Waddle. Sorry, wrong rookie. But my lineup was basically 4 guys that scored, and then the rest is kind of each got their 10 or whatever. So
mine was just one guy.
In most of these 50-50 leagues, you only need about 140 to 145 to cash money. So that's halfway there with those type of players.
So for me with this lineup, I do not trust Miles Sanders whatsoever. I know some people believe in his talent, and I'm not saying he's not talented. I just don't believe in him in this offense currently. So you can definitely go. Since Zach Wilson loves this receiver, where is he? Corey Davis at 4,800. This is Zach Wilson's number 1 guy and always has been when they're both healthy. So you save yourself 300, and you can remove this player that I still can't believe is even here.
I knew you were going to do this. I knew you were going to take it.
You can go Tyler Higbee at 42, or you can trust Dan Arnold once again at 4,000.
I was going to mention I would not be afraid to go back to him. I know he can hurt me in the league. I know he was in your lineup.
Targets that hurt 0.
I think it's a fluke game. I'm not worried about it.
I think it's because I finally decided to try him, and he gave me 0.
I played him in my dynasty too after not starting for like a month, so I was with you.
0. So for the fact that I'm not playing him, he's a safe pick this week, guys. You can trust in Dan Arnold.
I wanted to ask you. Oh, go ahead.
You have Tyler Conklin as well at 37. So that's actually, you're saving another 100 here.
Do you have any interest in a revenge game this week with your own boy, Jonnu Smith, playing against the Titans for the first time? Is Belichick going to be like, let's get him a red zone touchdown? I was the happiest
Patriots fan when I woke up to hearing we signed Jonnu Smith, and I've been nothing but disappointed with his usage so far. We're using quite a few 12 personnel, and I just don't ever see him on the field. He's not getting the ball. And if they do, it's these little, we're going to throw you the ball right away and you go make a play. He is very talented. I don't understand why you just don't run him up the seam against a linebacker, against a safety. He's big, he's fast, he's just gonna be more athletic than half the players in the field, and they just haven't done that.
I feel like Belichick will have him score just to stick to the Titans. Like, see, I knew what I was doing, son.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they tried some things, because I think the game will be that bad.
Yeah.
So, So that's just what I think, what I see so far. The only things I would do to this lineup, even if you go Conklin at 37, so now you save, instead of 400, you save 500. That gives you some play with like Van Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
So that will give you 54. So you can go Sutton, Higgins. You can even touch this Jacksonville Atlanta game with Marvin Jones, who we haven't talked about since like week 4. Brandon Ayuk, who was very great. He was fantastic last week. I don't know if people want to touch him again. He's sitting there at 53, who we haven't touched on yet. You did mention Kenny Galladay. He's there at 51.
Right below him, Tyler Boyd had a big game last week too. It was kind of frustrating.
He won't this week, I don't think. It's going to go back to Chase and Higgins.
Yeah, so
Burrow, something was off last week. I watched a lot of that Raiders game. If it wasn't for Mixon, they were not
Burrow
finding a rhythm at all.
Burrow has been off for a few weeks now.
Mm-hmm. I played him in my home DraftKings league.
He was bad against Cleveland.
That did not work.
He was bad against Cleveland. He was average against the Jets. 21 points against the Jets. That's average. And then 9 and then 10. So
I could fit him in my flex, but I couldn't figure my tight end. But seeing Gronk on Monday night with the targets he was getting and being healthy, he's only 4,400. He's a little underpriced. I think it's that Monday night underpriced thing. I would not be mind getting him into a lineup too. I think he's going to start coming back to life. Especially, we need to mention Mike Evans might be out this week. He hasn't practiced all week, so
you like you could save the two pivots that I made. You save 500 and you need 600 to go from.
But I have 100 left over, so that would work.
Yeah, well, no, because you're saving 300 from the flex and then another 100, so that's just 500 total. And then me personally, I would go Van Jefferson to Kendrick Bourne. Me personally,
okay.
That's just you don't.
On that Bucks offense, Antonio Brown's still out as well. So
with how bad I was last week, I wouldn't listen to you right now. But there's just two players I'm not touching until they can prove to me otherwise, and that's Evan Ingram and Miles Sanders. I will never be aboard the Evan Ingram train, and Miles Sanders, I just refuse to hop on that train.
Brian's right though with AB and the Mike Evans not practicing for Gronk. We probably definitely need to mention it. Chris Godwin might be a smash play if all those guys are out as well.
You know what? We've done this before,
decent price,
and we've been wrong every time we do this.
Try to guess when the other guys are out. And
even when
take
one
the
is out.
Guy.
Yeah, even when one is out and the other one's supposed to step up. I remember when Gallup went down, we're all just like, "Yup, CeeDee Lamb, 30 targets, easy." No, I think he got 30 targets to 5 games. He was gone.
Right. Yeah. I want to throw out one more name for receivers before Brian gives his name out. If Allen Lazard does miss again, Valdez-Scantling was good for – I'm not just saying because he had the 80-yard bomb, but he was out there a lot. And I don't know, Lazard didn't play at all last week, but I like Scantling. And I keep going back to the Rams-Packers. I think will be a lot of points. So
isn't MVS the number 2 ahead of Lazard anyway?
I think they kind of split into each other's time when they both play. I don't know.
Yeah, they're like 2A and 2B. But one thing I agree with MVS having a big week, and he's sitting at 4,100. But the one thing in all my research this week that shocked the heck out of me is his catch rate for the year. In that game was 40%. He only had 4 out of 10, and for his career, it's less than 50%, which I just could not believe.
Yeah, especially when you have Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm assuming he's had pretty decent targets.
Yeah, when you play him, you're just hoping he gets that bomb. And there's 2 separate kind of home leagues I do in DraftKings, and he won me first place in my other one playing him. It was risky, but I was very happy when he scored that very late in the game. One play, that's what he does.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those in redraft. If you're projected to lose, and you need a home run hitter. There's your home run hitter. But if you're projected to win, I wouldn't play him necessarily. Also,
if Aaron Jones is out, I think you can go back to A.J. Dillon at 5,900 as well. Aaron Jones is questionable right now.
Yeah, that's a late afternoon start. So just be sure that you've got enough money you can work around. I mean, they're the same price, but at the same time, if you don't want to go Dillon, you just make sure you got somebody else available to you in that late afternoon window. So.
And that rookie Steelers tight end keeps poking in there, and Eric Ebron's done now. So Pat Freiermuth at 4,300 is a nice play. He's still underpriced, I think. Ben likes him a lot, and with Ebron being out for good now, and just opens up targets.
I've even become comfortable enough that in my homeboys league, he's my only tight end now. So
I like it.
Wait, who's on a bye this week? The Chiefs and who?
The byes are actually the Cardinals and the Chiefs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we should finally see Hopkins and Kyler Murray finally next week. Hopefully,
yeah. Although the boy Colt McCoy, he had a big game.
Man.
And I sat him. I'm in the Scott Fishbowl League. I sat him. He set 34 points on my bench. That was a great move.
What is wrong?
I'm in the Scott Fishbowl, and I have no idea what I'm doing in that. I tried asking somebody for help, and they didn't help me.
Scott Fishbowl?
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, you can sometime off air. You can ask me. I know I figured out most of it. I'm decent. Right now I'm third in points in my league. So
I'm nowhere near. I did good like the first 2 weeks, and that was it.
I don't know what's wrong with the Seahawks and Russell Wilson. I feel like Pete Carroll's just ready to quit. I think they're just going to blow the whole thing up. I think they're going to start from scratch because everyone just looks kind of.
It's just a shame for DK. Lockett's missing in action about 3 out of every 4 games anyway. So
Great. All right, Brian, what you got for us?
well, it's I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'm going to start with my cheap players.
Okay.
I think that's important. Okay, so like I told y'all earlier, absolutely nobody knows this guy's name. I didn't even know him, but he's a tight end for the Green Bay Packers. I believe it's pronounced Josiah DeGuara, and I'm sure he's not listening. But if he is, apologies for any misspoken names. DeGuara, okay. Yeah. Well, he's sitting at 2,600, so I said let's go cheap with him. So I thought I'd throw him out there and get him a little bit of extra airtime. He deserves it. He got drafted at the in the 3rd round of the Packers in 2020, and he played at the University of Cincinnati with their star quarterback that is currently there, getting ready to get drafted himself. So it's kind of wanted to go cheap with him. My defense. Let's see, who was it that hated the Eagles this week? That was you, right, Luke?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I just absolutely hate him. I just feel like the Giants are going to get him this week. That's for my buddy Murphy. He's a
you know what? I'm a Pats fan. I hate the Eagles.
But you hate the Giants more, don't you?
I hate both. I hope they tie. And then they both just get the loss instead of a tie.
A couple of things we've mentioned that are important to remember is Sterling Shepard's out for sure. And then Tony is doubtful. So they're kind of missing a couple of wide receivers. We don't know for sure about Saquon. He's questionable. So it could be Booker and basically nothing else for that team. But Darius Slayton, don't forget about him. He's a star in the making. But anyhow, I went with the Eagles defense. They were sitting at 3,300. So that's where I went cheap. That's where I found value.
Wait,
so
the Eagles defense is 32.
Talk about my stack a little.
We said 33 or 32?
Was it 33?
No, they're 32.
Eagles at 36?
No, the Eagles are 3,200.
Okay. So that's where I went with my defense. My stack is a little unusual stack, but I went with Justin Herbert sitting at 6,600 and came back with him with Austin Eckler at 8,400. You don't always have to stack quarterback, wide receiver, and or quarterback tight end. I actually sometimes, especially with the Chargers, the most consistent player on the team is Mr. Eckler himself. So I kind of like to go that way. Now, I will admit that it's a tough matchup against the Broncos. They really looked great against Dallas a few weeks ago. But I still think the Chargers offense can make hay against the Broncos. They've not proved to me that they're a playoff contender just yet. We'll see where that goes. And then here's the guy that Mav absolutely will not start. Miles Sanders sitting at 5,100. And I agree. At times, Miles Sanders has definite talent. He was coming out of high school, was actually the number 1 ranked running back in his class. But the problem's been volume most of the year. They just would not hand him the ball. Well, against the Raiders, he played last week, had 16 carries for right around 100 yards. But then the last time he was healthy, he was on 3 weeks of IR. But the time before that was when they started to kind of use the rushing attack more. And then they even turned to Jordan Howard and Boston Scott, kind of no names in themselves. So I think the Eagles have finally figured out if they're going to win and be competitive, they've got to run the ball more than pass because Hurts is better with his legs anyway. But the interesting stat I heard today is if the Eagles win, since the Cowboys lost yesterday, the Eagles will actually be within a game of first place. They'll be a game behind the Cowboys. So that was kind of, I don't know, it kind of caught me off guard. I never thought about that.
Yeah, have you guys seen the Eagles' next 5 games?
They play, I don't know. We'll see.
I posted it yesterday. Let me see if I can find it.
I know they play the Giants and Jets, but I don't know who's after that.
They play the Giants, Jets, the Giants again, Washington. Hold on, where's this picture?
I would love it for Dallas to miss the playoffs.
Oh,
It'd be hilarious.
God. Damn, I posted it. Now I can't find it.
And to be honest, I don't think the Eagles are that good a team.
There we go. It's Giants, Jets, Washington, Giants, Washington, and then Dallas.
Ooh.
That week 18 matchup could be for all the marbles. So that's I don't know. I don't really think the Eagles are all that good, but I don't know. They're coming along, or the teams are playing coming up aren't very good. So we'll see. Then those are my two running backs. So at wide receiver, have a couple of guys that I almost always pick. They're playing in the same game this week. Found it kind of interesting. I went with Jamar Chase. He was sitting at 7,300. And then my go-to guy, and I know it sounds a little biased, Deontay Johnson, 6,600. Big Ben, for everything he's worth and as much criticism as he's taken over the year, he's actually played some of his best football the last 2 weeks. I thought he looked really good on Sunday night. Didn't you, Luke?
He did. I thought of my chair the fact we came back and even took the lead in that game. Our defense was horrible. Man, I do not miss not having Mika Fitzpatrick in the lineup. That Mike Williams play when they took the lead. I'm like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, pay Mika whatever the heck he wants so he doesn't leave.
Exactly. And the funny thing is, if memory serves me, we got him for we got him for a first-round pick, I think, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. And the Dolphins use that on an offensive lineman that has not been good. So
I've been pretty impressed with Big Ben the last couple of weeks. I'm excited to see that game. And then my last wide receiver, we briefly touched on him before, and we were talking about how good his week was last week. He had in between. He had a kind of a down game, but Brandon Ayuk has had like 3 good games in the last 4 weeks or something like that. He's been pretty good. So I went with him. He was sitting at 5,300 looks like.
Yeah.
And last but not least, I went with Mavs guy, Kendrick Bourne.
Jason Bourne.
Stop
At
it.
4,800. That was hard for me to choose Mavs guy, but
Why was it so hard?
I'm just teasing you, giving you a hard time.
Probably for all
Busting
those
your
years
chops, so to
Brady kicked our ass in Pittsburgh. That's why. All right.
But he's sitting at 4,800. Made a perfect fit for me. So that was
Jesus.
that was really how
Jason
I finished
Bourne.
my lineup. So
yeah, I don't have anything other than Miles Sanders. Everything else is fine.
Well, DeGora, obviously, if he gets 5 points, I think you're going to be happy. Last week when I paid John Bates, he got 5 points, and that's all I needed. He had 2 catches. I was like, all right, good job, John Bates. You did your work.
I was watching the Minnesota game, and I was like, who's this? Who's 81?
DeGuara actually scored a touchdown last week. And we all know that Robert Tanya's out for the season. And then he was sharing targets with Mercedes Lewis, but Lewis got none last week. So I'm assuming, unless Tanya was like 28 years old when he had his breakout year last year, I would not be surprised with being a third-round pick. DeGuara is more of a long-term solution for them unless they go back into the draft.
You mentioned Roethlisberger. I meant to say Mavs lineup. For 100 less, you can go from Tyrod to Ben, and Ben has played actually sneaky good the last month, like you said. Like, knock on wood, he's the only QB not to throw a pick in the last month, and the Cincy D, I think, is still a little suspect. And I know they don't want to get swept by Cincinnati, but man, it's tough to trust them. I haven't recommended starting Ben at all, but like sneakily,
Last week was the only game this year he gave you more than 18 points.
Right. And that's why he's 5,200.
Yeah, no, I would have rather probably. I can't even say that; it's too disgusting.
Yeah, it's your chase. You got to hope he gets the TDs. If the goal line TDs go to Najee, you're in trouble. But
yeah, the quarterbacks at this price range, and I probably should have just gotten Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne.
And even me with 100 left over, I had Cam at 5,600. Jimmy G is 5,700, and the Vikings secondary is not good. And I think the Niners will actually have to throw in this game. So I think Jimmy G could be a sneaky.
A lot of people are throwing Jimmy G as a top 12 quarterback this week.
He's been really good lately. Mav, it's okay, man. He's a 2-time Super Bowl winner with you guys. He has been really good for fantasy last couple weeks, for the last month or so.
I mean, week 8 and 9, sure. Or if you're in deep dynasty leagues, super flexes, yeah, I guess.
For DraftKings, I think that game's going to be fun. I think Vikings 49ers are both 5-5. It's a huge game for an NFC wildcard. I think it could be a fun game.
So there's this thing I do where I stay away from certain players. Jimmy G is just one of those guys. We will never see.
That's your boy, man. No. He was supposed to be your future.
No.
You all Y'all went the less expensive route at quarterback, but if you want to go a little bit more, to me, Kirk Cousins is very undervalued here lately at 6,300.
I tried Cousins and Jefferson. That was another stack. Jefferson and Cousins.
How much is Cousins this week?
63. Yeah, no, that was a stack I had. And then obviously you saw that I had Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore, but I could have gone Zach Wilson and Corey Davis, but just seeing Zach Wilson on my board was pretty disgusting. What was it? Cam and I was looking at DJ Moore, but DJ Moore hasn't really done much with Cam just yet. But then you went Cam and McCaffrey, which was a much better stack. QB wise, and then anything after that, Herbert and Eckler, it's a very good stack in my opinion. I didn't really think of quarterback, running back. Too much money here. That's why I ended up going with 3 expensive receivers instead.
Yeah,
and the best defense.
A running back I kind of like it mid prices. James Robinson at 6,200 against those Falcons.
Yeah. Should we mention, because I brought up Michael Pittman, Carson Wentz in a game where he actually might have to throw?
Yes. Oh, I was going to bring that up. Good stuff. Good stuff. I was going to bring him up
because he hasn't needed to throw lately. It's been the Jonathan Taylor show, but I feel like he will have to throw this week. That's why I kind of like Michael Pittman. You could easily stack him and Pittman for cheap and start a lineup that way as well. So
very true.
And y'all were talking about the Chargers not stopping. What was it? The run? They don't stop well. Is that right?
Yes.
Well, they don't stop tight ends either. They're actually second. They give the second most fantasy points to tight ends. So if you were in a dire strait at tight end, you can go with Alberto at 3,300. Or if you got a little bit more, don't mind moving up 4,600 to Fant. But like I said, they give the second most fantasy points to tight end. So there's a good option there.
If you let Eric Ebron score, you're probably not doing something right.
Exactly. He looked like a Hall of Famer.
Man, that fourth quarter last week, that was a roller coaster.
The only other defense that we haven't mentioned is the Panthers. I kind of like them against the Dolphins at 3,100. So that's kind of my pivot place.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've said everything I had wrote down. So if we can go to spread picks if you're ready, Mab.
Yeah. All right. Since there's not that many games, I found it pretty hard to find 4 other games. Because we already know what I'm doing. -7? This is a gimme. Give me New England again. This is every week. And I'm gonna
that's still at -7.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it didn't go down some. I saw it this morning at -7. I just figured it'd go down with AJ Brown going out. Or go up, excuse me.
Yeah, -7 is the gimme. Watch New England win by 4 now because it's just what New England does. And then I went. Luke isn't going to be surprised by this pick, but I went Tampa -3. They're going to stop.
Yeah, we're not surprised. Brady and then Brady's ex team. Okay.
Yeah, they're going to stop Jonathan Taylor because they're very good against the run, and they're going to make Carson Wentz try to beat them. Come on, it's Carson Wentz.
Hey, Brady loses to suspect quarterbacks. We know this.
Yeah, but Carson Wentz, once upon a time, was not suspect.
That's going to be a fun game. As hot as the Colts have been, there's a few good games this week.
I'm going with one of my other favorite teams because they have a lot of my favorite players. We're going to go Minnesota +3. I think Kirk Cousins, because this is a 4:00 game. It's not an 8:00 game. We already know what Kirk Cousins does at 4:00 Eastern. We already know he shows up to play. And it's Jefferson. Who's covering Jefferson? Nobody.
Yeah.
I actually like how the Vikings have been playing the last few weeks. They're finally playing up to their potential. They have all the talent, and they're just letting it go to waste. So honestly, nobody really talks about it. Cousins is technically still playing for his job because they just drafted a quarterback in the first round. Right? What if not the second round? They still drafted a quarterback early. So Cousins this year and next year, he's playing for his job. So he needs to win.
The one thing to keep in mind about Cousins they're talking about restructuring his contract to a 5-year deal, but I agree with you on Kellen Mond.
I didn't hear that. What was this?
It's out there.
Oh, I did not hear about this. All right, never mind. If he's restructuring for a 5-year deal and he's made the playoffs once.
Yeah, they're talking about it. And it's not official, but it's allegedly in the works. We'll see.
I know Cousins isn't bad because he has like 2 interceptions like all season, I think, something like that. But I think Cousins should like take you out to the playoffs more consistently before. I don't know. That's just me. I'd wait till next year to do that.
It's allegedly front loaded. So
look, we don't all have Tom Brady, all right, Mav. We don't all win every year. All right, we're not used to it.
That is true, I guess.
Yeah,
and then we just draft Mac Jones. No big deal. So talking about how bad this team is, because there's literally nobody left alive to even play on the roster. I am surprisingly taking this team +2. Give me Jacksonville. Jacksonville, I don't even know how they're supposed to beat you, but they still have James Robinson, and I think that's all they need. The Falcons have who do they have again? That's still play?
An offense?
Yeah.
Cordero Patterson.
He's back?
I think so. I think he was leaning towards being back.
Oh, that changes everything. But they have the next Avenger in Kyle Pitts. I don't know if he's playing because I know he left that Thursday game against the Patriots hurt, or he was hurt in the game.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I just don't trust the Falcons whatsoever. I really don't know how they're supposed to beat you anymore with no receivers at all. They have Gage and Zacchaeus. There you go.
Yeah.
Almide Zacchaeus. There we go. Yeah, I don't know who. Man, Matt Ryan has no time to breathe. I was watching that game. Whoever the Falcon center is, I'm sorry. He looked very little.
Yeah.
Because you had Christian Barmore in front of him. Yeah, no, he looked very little. I felt bad for Matt Ryan. He literally could not breathe. And then I went Houston here -2.5. I think Tyrod Taylor is just way better than Zach Wilson. He's just coming back. He's, Joe Flacco would probably still be starting right now if it wasn't for COVID. So I don't know. I just think it just shows. And then like the fact that we're going to go with Mike White still, I think like Mike White looked better with the offense. I'm just not sure where Zach Wilson is mentally with this team right now. So I think the Texans here should be the play until Zach Wilson figures it out, because I don't think he has it figured it out at all.
I kind of think at this point in time, they're just letting Wilson play the season out to see if they have to go back into the draft next year. Be my guess.
I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd do that if I were the Jets. Honestly, I thought Mike White looked really good, and sure, he played the Bills, and the Bills' defense is very good. So I honestly, I was on board with just trade Zach Wilson, build around Mike White. That was the trade I was on.
Yeah, we'll see what they do.
So I couldn't really find 6 games. If I had to pick a 6th game, I'm going Washington -1 against Seattle. That's my 6th game if I had to pick one.
I'll go 7 for your 5. How about that?
You like that many games? There weren't a lot of games that I liked.
No, I'm just teasing. I did find a few that I liked more than last week.
Yeah, like New England, Tampa, and Minnesota are the 3 that I liked, and then I kind of just spitballed here: Jacksonville, Texans, and then even Washington -1.
Right.
Like I was big on Taylor Heineke after watching him in the wild card game against New England. I really liked what he showed there. He showed a lot of heart. That's all I got.
All right.
And then we've already mentioned the Seattle struggles, and we don't even know what direction they're going in.
Well, the one I teased earlier, I'm taking the Giants +4, and actually now that I'm looking at this, didn't even do this on purpose. I have 6 underdogs wrote down, and that's probably not going to be good.
Oh goodness!
But so yeah, Giants at home. We kind of talked maybe Philly's not that good. We saw they beat the Saints last week, and we seen what the Bills just did to the Saints. So divisional game at home, give me the 4 points. It's over a field goal at home for teams that are pretty equal in my book. Okay, Mav. Here's what I'm against you this week. Titans +7. I'm doing it.
Really?
It's a lot. It's a touchdown. Everybody, it's a lot. It feels like a gross Patriots win. I think the Patriots win and don't cover. I think the Titans are still. I know they don't have anybody, but man, it's still a rookie quarterback. I think 7's a lot. That's all.
Oh, the last 4 out of the 5 games, they won by like a million.
I know. The Titans are better than Atlanta. They're better than Cleveland. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think it's a lot. We'll see what happens.
I forget the exact stat, but I believe it was something along the lines the Patriots actually have the largest margin of difference across the season. Either that or second.
I believe it. I feel like they've been blowing people
They're
out.
second. Buffalo is still first.
This might be being a little homer to Mike Vrabel, too. Mike Vrabel is a ex-Buckeye, ex-Steeler. He's from around here. My buddy literally seen him in the gas station like last month down the street. He lives around here.
Buffalo's first at 144. So before yesterday, Patriots were first.
That makes sense. I also have the Jets against Houston because I didn't think in my life I'd see Houston favored this year. And it's just give me the points in the game. I wish I was getting 3. But that is 100% more towards a coin flip game. But I'm going to take the 2.5 and hope Zach Wilson plays good. And then the last one, I was going to get you on 3 here. I know you kind of just threw the last one out there. But I'm on Seattle in a bounce back spot. Getting, what'd you say the spread was? 1? Yeah. So
that's also a coin flip.
Yeah, give me Russell Wilson under the lights to get crap figured out. I personally played Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf in my home DraftKings league, so playing with fire, hoping to come back on Monday night with a surprise. If they don't do it this week, I'm done. I'm giving them one last kind of shot here. The other underdogs, I went Denver plus 2.5 at home. I think they beat the Chargers, another home divisional game. It's a tough place to play in Denver, and the Chargers probably should have lost us. Honestly, blew it, and then we blew it back. That game was wild. Obviously, I think if we have Minka, TJ, and Joe Hayden, we win that game. But I think Denver wins this game at home against the Chargers because the Chargers like to blow games at the end, and they either will have to try to come back or they'll just blow it completely, and the Broncos will kick a game-winning field goal. And then my last dog, I just went homer and took Steelers plus 3.5. I swear if we get swept by the Bengals, oh my God, I don't even want to think about it. So 6 dogs. That's fine. I didn't even do that on purpose, but I didn't like the Atlanta-Jacksonville game. I didn't like the Carolina and Miami game. Rams-Packers, I think it's toss-up. So those 6 dogs I feel good with for sure. It's gross whenever you take the Jets and the Giants in the same day. It's weird. So those are my 6 dogs for this week. We'll see what happens. We did win the pick 'em again last week at 4-2, so maybe taking 6 dogs will let these other guys win next week, huh?
One thing you mentioned about the Bengals, Pittsburgh. Bengals won the last 2, and I think I heard 1990 was the last time the Bengals had beat the Steelers 3 games in a row. So that's kind of an interesting tidbit out there.
3 games?
Yeah.
Oh, they beat them the last time last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this would be the 3rd game in a row if it happened.
Yeah, the end of the year last year when we started 11-0, then kind of backed our way into the playoffs. Yeah.
To be honest, I'd actually thought about going and picking the Bengals, but I'm sorry, on this show, you'll never hear me say against the Steelers. So throw that one out.
So Steelers?
Yeah, I'll never pick against the Steelers. It's just against my overall well-being. So, but I did go with Mav. I'm actually proud of myself. I went Pats -7. I kind of went against Luke a couple of times here. I took the Eagles. I think it was set at -4 at the Giants. Giants have absolutely nobody healthy. I think the Eagles are actually trying to figure it out. And I see that the Giants aren't very good at stopping the run. So I just see the Eagles running it down their throats.
The Giants aren't good at anything.
Except for beating Brady when it matters.
I went to Panthers -2 at the Dolphins. This is another one against Luke. I took the Chargers at -2.5 at the Broncos. I really like this one. This is probably my favorite pick of the day. Vikings +3 at the 49ers. The Vikings have just been playing exceedingly well. Should have been a lot better record.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, Sunday night special. I went the Ravens -3.5 versus the Browns.
I did think about that one because I don't think the Browns aren't very good, but
I'm not touching that game.
I probably shouldn't either, but like you said, the Browns are. I don't know. The
Ravens do well
and win when you don't expect them. So
the Ravens do well when they're getting blown out, and the Browns have to actually score to do that. So if the Browns can't score and the Ravens aren't good when the game is close, it's gonna be like 9-6.
The Ravens are the opposite of the Vikings. Their record's better than what it should be. They win a lot of games that they shouldn't. They should have lost to Detroit. They almost lost last week. Andy Dalton threw that miracle to Goodwin, and then Tyler Huntley got a couple pass interferences. But yeah, don't get me started on Ravens talk. That's another hour long. I hate that team.
And then the Broncos. I think the Broncos are terrible. I'm not touching that team at all.
It's fair.
That's another team that benefited from
That
going up
was
against
probably-
the Jets, Giants, and Jacksonville the first 3 weeks.
I kind of feel like if the Chargers can have any offense at all, it'll be hard for the Broncos to keep up with it. So,
All
I
right.
like it.
so if y'all are ready, we'll give our handles and tell everybody to have a happy weekend.
Happy weekend. Good luck shopping. Don't stress it. The sales are fake. I worked at Best Buy for 3 years.
What was
I
that now?
know. The sales are fake. Don't believe them. Look online. Do not go to the store if you don't have to. Tell you right now. Yes, it's Black Friday. The sales will be different tomorrow, or it'll be cheaper the week after. Trust me, that is the thing. But anyway, I will be tweeting a lot on Sunday about the beatdown Mac Jones is going to give to Ryan Tannehill and the Titans. Just look out for that. And then anything else fantasy related. I will be watching the Vikings game for sure because Jefferson all day. And yeah, have a good weekend.
Yeah, you can find me at Lucas DePal on Twitter, talking all things Steelers, Blue Jackets, Buckeyes. Got a big weekend here in Columbus with the game tomorrow at noon. I'm mad it's a noon game. Might find angry tweets if we get swept by Cincinnati. And now that Brian threw out that might be the first time to be us 3 times in a row since 1990, I don't want to hear who day talk at work. So hopefully it's we day talk. But yeah, we got a big weekend of sports coming up here. Big DraftKings week. So let's see if we can keep it going. Brian?
Yeah. Most importantly, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Hope everybody had a good holiday weekend. The other one, Christmas won't be far away. And so, like I said, hope everything went well for everybody. And you can reach me at VandyGrad92 on Twitter. And, like I said, Luke said it's a big weekend for college football. It's actually the last big weekend. The next weekend will be all the championship games within the conferences. But really, it's the last big full weekend. So hope everybody enjoyed us. And we'll be back again next Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a good weekend. Good luck in all your games.
See you guys.
Peace.